health, in good order. They are loving them. Scroll through the timeline. You'll see our winners win. All right, so how's everybody been doing? You know, we've been busy as anything. We took down the harvest the other day. We've got about 24 to 48 hours left in the Canatrol box before it's ready. The dry cycle is done, but now it's on its cure cycle. So we're going to let that ride a little bit longer. But yeah, we've reloaded the tent now. We put in the Punch Drunk 8 for the, when we had our pick the seed you want to see done. So in the display tent now, we'll be looking at Elevate Genetics' Punch Drunk Ape, Beaver Cookies. I've got one seed left of that Nova. I don't know if anybody remembers seeing that around. We did not have our plant lined up for that one, and somehow it disappeared. So, had my last one a Nova. We don't know if it's a boy or girl, but let's cross our fingers. That's a lady. She's hanging out in there with you. It is actually the, when I went through all the packs of the truffles to sort out for which of that pheno I wanted, before I tossed the packs, I was opening them up, going through them real quick. Turns out I had one seed left of that random. And it's not random, it's one of the candy truffles. So in there is also the one last seed of the candy truffles from like 5 packs worth to hunt. So, check it out, man. Ronnie's working on getting that pussy breath. This is one of Tarantula genetic strains that Travis is releasing. I believe he's got a limited run on the liver kick over there. And if you get the liver kick, you can get some pussy breath seeds too. So, hell yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. My homegirl Tracy over there. Shout out to Echoes in Time for hanging out with us. So, we got into Plant Bodyguard, the new formula, the organic formula. It is looking good. Got a couple room deodorizers as well, so check out that Lawless Grow Plant Bodyguard stuff. If you need any, plant pest control stuff like that, handles powdery mildews and bugs and stuff. So we'll be putting in work with that product this summer. That is our outdoor sprayer special, and we're going to test out the certified organic version all on the inside. So thanks to Lawless Grow for that wonderful product for us. So, I am burning on, this is the Gummy Mints. Oh, I like this one. Personal favorite. Very, very, it's pain management worthy, right? So, I haven't had Gorilla Glue for a little bit. We're working on finding some more of that particular product, that plant in specific. But in the meantime, I ended up coming across this Gummy Buns that has been doing an incredible job for my pain medication. Got that old school funk. That's why I like these two in particular. These are like my personal favorites. JMO just reminds me of old school funk. It's got that old school cushy taste kind of to it, like hashy almost. Very, very, very nice. So, what are we blazing? What are you guys blazing? Man, Billy Forbes out there. What are you smoking on, man? I know you've always been killing it with those tarantulas. Tell me you got something nice going on. Again, it's still this time of year. These wonderful little things. Mike's Strawberry Lemonade, wonderful outside. Oh, man. And again, this is one of the earlier finishers. But, so, I was actually thinking, for me, this season, I would love to plant more in the earth like I did last year. Problem is, I'm kind of working on trying to move before the summer's out. So, I'm going to do something different. My man Ronnie over here gave me a seed of a Tommy Gun Auto. I also have some Elevate Auto seeds. So what I was going to do was put 2 of those in 5 gallons and just throw them in the backyard. I'm going to start those tonight. I've got those 2 seeds pulled out when I get home. No germination. We're just going to take them, moisten the top layer of soil, and what do I get? Like a clear Dixie cup. Little clear Dixie cups. And take one of those and just fold it upside down, set it right on top of it, and let it do its thing for the next 24 hours till it pops, and then lose the cup. And we'll see what Mother Nature does with some Elevate Autos, as well as that Tommy Gun Auto that you were, you hooked me up with not too, it feels like forever ago now. So, with that being the case, doing auto flowers could potentially get you 2 harvests a year. All right, on the outdoor season we get alone, right? So if you were to start some now and you timed them right, as you're taking these down, you can have fresh autos going out to make sure that you're going to get another round of plants before the season's out. So, if you know what you're doing, you don't have, I've seen a lot of people who hit stressors on their autos, and that kind of stunts them a little bit. But if you can manage a healthy plant start to finish, you potentially knock out 2 rounds of autos this round. So that's what we are going to make an attempt at, seeing how I can move a potted plant. But you guys saw those trees we did last year. I don't know if we have any stock photos of them floating around that I could show you again. But if you recall, those things they had like 4 feet on me. I'm 6 foot plus, and I put my hand all the way up, and I still couldn't reach the top of them. So that was the oob. This one here has the potential to get that big too. Right now, oh man, I would love to put this outside, but these are photo periods, so this is going to take the whole season. So I'm going to run a couple of autos this year, which is actually going to be it'll be the first autos I ever run. Ooh, this is going to be fun. So, I don't know how many of you guys out there run autos in your regular routine. They've just never really necessarily fit in with what I was going to, how I plan to cultivate. So with that being the case, they didn't fit in, so I didn't really use them. I like to bring plants back. I like to hang on to plants. If you find a great one, I mean, you grow a seed, you start, you finish it, and you got, your flowers, and that's wonderful. You get something amazing from it. But what if that was a plant that you're like, dude, I don't know, I can't believe I let that one go. Like, when you saw it, it was all said and done, it was the frostiest or the tastiest thing you ever had, and now you're looking at your sack like going, damn, I only grew this much, and try again with another seed, but you start another seed, and you're not guaranteed the terps are going to be the same or anything like that. So, with clones, you are guaranteed symmetry across the line of your plants, right? So, with all the new seeds that we started from Elevate to find the proper plants, what we have is just a few, but I definitely have a copy of each one of these in vegetative state, similar to this, that we will be grooming to see how well these do, to make sure that we don't have a bunch of herms in the group, because again, I don't like hermy crap. Every now and again, sometimes things happen. You get a herm, you got a light stressor, you get things can happen where you can cause a plant to throw bananas. So, a banana is not the end of the world, but what I don't want to see is pollen sacs developing at early stages of flowering. So that's, we keep them in small progression, but then again, we take the clone of the plant, we start growing that, we start flowering out the plant that it came from, and that'll tell us whether it's a boy, girl. It'll tell us whether it's, if it's going to be, just straight female, no pollen, or if you're going to end up with one of the hermaphroditic plants. And occasionally I've seen a couple plants that throw a herm tendency, like every now and again, if you treat them a little rough, they'll throw a banana on you, but like, it's still fire. So, never any issues with that. Now, so the auto seeds, I'm going to start a round tonight. Typically they say, I don't know what the stats are on them, I got to look them up, but I believe they're like, I don't know, 75, 80 days start to finish. Dang, got some splinters in my hand. Sorry, I was actually putting flooring down earlier today. This fucking splinter's gonna bother the shit out of me. Ouch. Alright, anyway. So, the autos, they're a shorter flower time, they're just gonna go on their own. So, we start some now. By the time we're in peak summer, those should probably be ready to come on down. And when we're starting to see their finishing time, as I look at them and watch them turn, we will go ahead and put another round of autos in the ground just to see what happens. I know I've been seeing some incredible plants out there in other groups as far as auto flowers and things like that. So, give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot at least one time. You can't knock it until you try it. I've never done them, and it's, So, I'm going to give it a shot. We're going to see what happens. But anyway, any of the clothes that you get from our store or our website, these are all female, ready to go. They've already been sexed. Everything else, they're stable as they get, and you can see finished product stats on them as far as when we get them tested and everything else. But, just get out there and plant, guys. This stuff, I mean, If you put it in the ground in your backyard, right? If you got green grass, if you got sunlight, you're gonna do all right. I get asked all the time, what do I mix together? What do I put in my soil? What do I? And we're here. I'm Virginia Beach. What do you mix in the dirt in Virginia Beach to actually grow a plant in there? Well, I just take some mushroom compost and some blood meal, mix it up at a low ratio. The mushroom compost actually, I'll take like a whole bag to, let's say, a 2 foot by 2 foot square of the soil. So I'll plant one plant in a rough size 2 foot by 2 foot diameter. Dig that about a 5 gallon bucket deep, and so once you get all that dirt pulled up and stirred, you mix in your mushroom compost with it. So I'm not even like replacing it. I'm not talking about like digging out, or just soften it up a little bit. Till the stuff up, add your mushroom compost and your blood meal. Plant it in there. I didn't have to give fertilizer till 2-3 months in. These things were monstrous, and even then they were still feeding healthy. It was just to sort of kick them into overdrive a little bit, as they start turning from vegetative outdoor plants into flowering outdoor plants. It's a great time to put together like you'll hear people use the term tea. It's like something that they, steep and brew for a long time. You get like a range rum, and this is where you're going to mix, your more phosphorus laden products, probably some more gnarlier stuff if you're making a tea. I've seen people use fish, all sorts of like fish heads, just blend it up. You'd be surprised what you can use as a tea if you go online. I mean, from what I saw recently, I don't know if somebody posted it in our page, but it was like you can use like a soak chickpeas in water for like 24 hours, and it's a nitrogen based fertilizer. So again, it's going to be low ppm, and if you have just a basic soil and you're trying to be cheap, there's a couple of feeds of your first week or two, and just see how it goes. I've never done anything like that. We have compost, but I mix that into like flower beds and stuff like that as well. Left over the tumbling barrel. I'm sure we've all seen those things. So, with compost, we can mix that back in as well, but it's got to be definitely, stabilized. So you might need to adjust your alkalinity on things like the lime. I can't even think of the name of it. The azomite or any local gardening center. You can see the guys over at I Love Hydroponics off Newtown Road here in Virginia Beach. Brian and Jay over there, there's some sharp dudes. You can tell them what you're looking to do, and they can definitely help get you in the right direction for sure. So, don't be afraid to pot it in the earth. If you don't need to move your plant for the season, let's say, you know that at early summer I've got sun on that side of my yard, but then like by 3 o'clock it's gone. And I gotta move over here. Well, if that's your situation, leave them in a pot and slide them over. I've recommended pallets and shift them, but if you've got full blazing sun at that one point, plant it in the earth, right? Start there, and then you'll be really impressed with how well they do. And again, less is more. The earth has a lot of wonderful stuff in it. I mean, like I said, I gave it nothing but hose water for months and months and months, or for the first at least. Man, like 45 days before I even gave it anything else after I fed it that. Hose water for 45 days before we started doing that. I did one more vegetative tea because we got them in there soon enough for like their before they pre-transition to flowers. And then one more big tea again at flowering cycle. And again, the teas were really, really basic stuff. Nothing too important. And 50-gallon drum, let the ingredients soak for a few days. You'll notice it'll come up like a kind of a gurgly film. It's pretty gnarly looking stuff. It doesn't smell the greatest, but it does the trick. You put your plants in there. Make sure you try and get yourself a basic recipe. If you need a minimalist formula recipe, I'll go ahead and throw a general one. Oh, so, videos busted out on you, Mr. Dustin. We'll get that. I don't know. That's not my wheelhouse. I don't do that. I do plants. But I think we got that. So, with with these teas, I'll go ahead and I'll share a pretty simple, basic formula. Each individual bag is like $20, but these bags are gonna last you 2 years. You're not gonna be buying fertilizer. You're gonna spend like $60. And you probably won't need to buy outdoor food for 2 seasons. or longer. You might even start thinking, oh, I'm going to feed this to like my bedding plants over there too. So like not just your hemp or your cannabis flowers. You feed this to. We've got bucket tomatoes. We've got all sorts of stuff. Eggplants. Right now we're rooting garlic. So we've got a vast array of wonderful plants that they take the same stuff. We try to feed them all pretty well the same. When it comes to these flowers, I kick in a couple of extra things for terpene enhancement. So there's a couple things that you hear the name, like I said, blood meal, bone meal, worm castings. Like worm castings is basically worm shit, right? For the record, let your kids hunt earthworms after the thing and just throw them in the flower pots with them. You won't be upset. They're not going to hurt your plants. I mean, they're earthworms. They literally turn nutrient out of the other end. They go in there. They. So, I usually give my kids, like a nickel or something. Every earthworm they get, they see them. As long as they're alive and wiggling, they're playing out there anyway. Yeah, you see some earthworms. You want to make some spare money. Yeah, Ice Cream Man comes around every now and again. So. Earthworms, simple as that. Add them to your mix. But yeah, earthworm castings and pretty basic. But yeah, we don't use those ingredients inside. Could you? Yeah, absolutely. I've seen people do bedding plants that way. There are plenty of ways to do this. I just prefer a system which we received word that the National Cannabis Festival, like I said, we're sponsoring the Growers World side, this new side they're developing this year. They're actually having me speak on the Saturday from at 1:30. So we are going to talk about one of the systems that I'm most versed in, that I have been familiar with for a long time, that we use in basically all of our gardens. The live tent, the plants don't dry back as fast enough, so they only get like one watering a day, and sometimes they can go every other day. But in the the more commercial applications, where we're producing the hemp flower, this is the system we have in place. So basically, it's means of using a smaller container and watering your plants multiple times throughout the day, as many as like 5 or 6 times a day. I don't hit 5 or 6 times a day. I would have to reduce my medium even further, and I'll tell you, I use a very small container. As you can see, with the even with the grow spaces we do for you guys on the live stream, you can see that I use a 1-gallon container for these plants, and we're getting cabinet full. Which again, they claim 2 pounds in here, but that's not right. This cabinet's probably only good for about 1 pound at best. But you can pack it in there. I'm sure if I had some extra racks and wanted to stack more in there now that everything has shrunk down a little bit, I could probably stack them in there and get more in. And when it's dried and cured, I could probably get it up to 2 pounds. But the answer is I can't do 2 pounds in one shot in there. But they got a big walk-in cabinet. They've got, it's basically like a giant humidor that they build to help keep this stuff safe and clean and at the right everything. So, I'm happy with my purchase. I'm not selling mine. I see a couple of them online recently. There was even one that was some random guy had posted it, and I messaged him about it. And it's one of the guys that works for us. And he was like, "So that's my friend's," and I'm like, "Cool then. Can I go see?" He's like, "No, that's not him who's selling it to you." I'm like, I know. All of my instincts told me the dude was a scammer from the get-go. I was just kind of seeing, but it was really funny to know that the picture of the Canatrol box and the stuff he was selling was actually something that a buddy of a guy who works for me that was his post. He just stole the pictures and was like, "I got it for sale." So always watch out with that. Coco Loco. You never used cocoa. So let's good call, Dustin. So there are a lot of cocos out there. There are a lot of different cocos you can get. Coco Loco is pre-buffered, ready to go, and they even add some mycorrhiza stuff to the base. But let me say this: treat it as if there's nothing in there. Come out swinging. Go ahead and start feeding it immediately. For the moment you put those plants in there, you start hitting them with food. Straight up, don't let them sleep on it. Anytime you need to put water in that pot, you go ahead and feed it with nutrients. The only time you'll have issues if you ever notice if you start noticing nutrient issues and you're using a full spectrum formula, right? So that's a formula that covers basically all of your fuck, another bong hit. All your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, right? NPK, right? So across the board, the numbers on the side of the bottle, as long as you were covering those numbers like as a full spectrum formula, your plant should be happy and healthy. If you're experiencing difficulty with that, what you do is you start checking your runoff, make sure that your pH hasn't floated too far out of range, or that your runoff is still pretty close to what you're pouring into it, right? So, what you can do with cocoa, and what anybody who has used this, right? So, when you pour, you get your bag of cocoa, put your plant in it. If you were to take 6 pH water and pour it down into that cocoa first time you use it, and then you take the water that comes out into your tray, put it back into a little cup, and then you test it, that's going to be exactly what you put in there. There's not going to be, your pH may bounce slightly, I wouldn't bet on that. That runoff that's going to come out is going to be what you poured into it. The mix can't hold anything. So you hear about people talking about crop steering. They're rock wool growers, they do crop steering. Or, you watch a video, you hear commercial gardeners, crop steering. Cocoa is its equivalent in the term high frequency fertigation is basically a cocoa equivalent. It's made to be grown multiple waterings a day. You'll sometimes see rock wool grows where it's a small brick on a big layer. That'll only get fed like once a day. As long as that brick stays moist, they don't have to give it water. So a lot of these systems require moisture pins. So there's actual sensors that they build into these systems where you put a moisture pin in your bag or your grow medium, and the system itself will register when that is dry. When it registers that, as long as it is inside the daylight cycle and the time range for the food to be allowed to be fed to these plants, because again, I don't feed these plants within 1 hour of bed or within 1 hour of morning, right? So that's one of the biggest things, for me at least. You want to wake up, I know for me, it's coffee before I eat anything, and you're lucky if I even eat by 10 a.m. and I've been up since 7, 6 some days, So same thing with these plants. When they wake up, they should have had enough in their system overnight to give them about an hour through the morning. Now that they wake up, they're bright-eyed, bushy-tails. You hit them in the cocoa with their first dose of food, and then I wouldn't even feed again if they require another feeding in that same day. And sometimes you get less, sometimes you get more. You would end up just feeding it again, but not within an hour of bedtime. I also use that as a no-no time. So with those two parameters, as long as there's a daylight cycle, if my plant dries out to this range, they get fed. Easy as that. They can get up to, our system runs about 3 a day. These plants right here are probably going to stay at about 1 a day. It's not a compact environment. For these, they're going to be trained out. And so what you'll see me do with these smaller containers that I use, so all these solo cup challenges, we see going around the internet, which, again, hell yeah, I can finish beautiful stuff inside this container right here. But what I use solo cups for is actually to root bound them before putting them into flower for new stuff that I'm testing. Root bounding them will either do one of two things. It'll either make it show signs that it's a male early, right? So females won't tend to show their sex from being root bound, but a boy plant will. And then it will also maybe keep it in check as far as, how much vertical growth I'm going to give it. So I let it tighten up a little bit. You can get away with doing solo cups, but start to finish, there's a technique you use, and it's very, very low dose food, right? So this solo cup gets fed like this much food. Like these big pots, we give them a more nutrient, a higher EC, a higher parts per million, because the pot stays wet longer. With these solo cups, fractional. Like if you're feeding a 2 EC to your plants, for this solo cup, you should feed it like a 0.8. If we're talking parts per million, this should be like 200, 300, where those plants in full peak are getting, hell, in some cases, I've seen an EC recipe call for 4 holy cow. I was like, do our meters register that high? He's like, no, their company has a system. You gotta get the wand with the kit, because if you're gonna push to 4, it works, by the way. The system works, but pushing a 4 EC is insane to me. That's strong. My formula, at best I peak out 18, 19. I start pushing higher than that, you'll see some real interesting things start happening. But properly pushing a plant throughout the cycle, that's how you get your. I want my best results, so I always push these plants. But again, with new stuff that we're working on, I do different things just to make sure that we're not bringing any plants that are going to show or potentially ruin your gardens. Support me with these plants that, safe, healthy to whomever is going to be cultivating them themselves. And so, we go through all the trial routine before we do them. You guys have seen our, start to finish, where we don't even let them look any kind of shabby. I don't root bound them. I pot them. The first live stream, and then these subsequent live streams where we do different plants, new generations, different styles, so on and so forth. So we just kind of using this now. Well, like I said, we've got 4 brand new strains we have not seen yet. So this is going to be a really, really good, interesting group, with 2 of them being the Elevate Genetics. So I'm looking really forward to these to show with you guys and see how well these Elevate Genetics produce, because their pictures look fantastic. And I'm sorry, I look at Punch Drunk Ape every day on my wall over here. Right? So I look at Punch Drunk Ape every day. I hope it's there. I hope it's close to that. Oh, I hope it's close to that. That's all I'm going to say. All I'm going to say. So, let me get another bong here, guys, because I'm chatting it up. All right. And again, I'm going for this gummy mints. Gummy mints, man. They definitely medicate you. It's good for pain. I'm fucking ready to go. All right. And then we had the diamonds last week that were doing the same thing, man. Fucking hell yeah, man. Found some uppity ones. I like those. That was like that. That's why I keep strawberry lemonade around. This is one of the flowers that I can smoke that I like. I smoke it with breakfast. And you are good to go. You are not like fogged out. You're not out of it. Oh, okay. See the student glass back here? So we would use that to, when we would do our events with everybody, you'd come out, and I'd just load that thing up for you if you ever seen us at one of our live events, which is, we're at the National Cannabis Festival. Do you know who's coming with me? Student glass. Again, we'll spend it as much time as we have. I assume we're going to be busy with everything going on over there. Between the concert and just the good festivities, this is going to be one for the records. I didn't get enough love on the tour bus going up there, so that didn't pan out. But again, we'll run this back next year. Next year, if everybody's down, I'll take some good footage of the inside and outside of the bus so everybody knows what we're getting into. But trust me, if this opportunity presented it to me, I'd have been on that bus. I mean, shit, that was a ride there and back and straight away. Hell yeah, that was a good deal. And anytime TJ sponsors something, we send goodies. We send goodies. What a bus trip. You guys get halfway there, you get a smoke break. I wouldn't have you pull anything out except for, I don't know, one of my pre-rolls maybe, which, oh my goodness. So, you remember when I got that King Cone machine? I showed you the pictures, the videos of this thing. Dude, I was upset. The first top that came with it was all 3D printed and shit, worthless, broke every fucking joint you stuck in there. Sprung for like the $400 or $500 acrylic, like full molded insert. This thing has saved my life. Blasting out like freaking 169 joints in under 2 hours. For me, that's a hell of a number. That's less than a joint a minute. We're going out there ready to hang out with people, ready to fire it off. I'm talking like I'm in the process of trying to make 2,000 of these things at least. This is hands down one of the biggest doobie orders I'm ever trying to put together. We've been busy as shit for this event. So if any of you guys do have the opportunity, you should come on out and come to this one. Even Travis from Tarantula Genetics, the breeder himself, he's going to be coming down to hang out with us from what I hear. So that's going to be real awesome. And now that I got it cracking, let's talk to Echoes of Time real quick. Let's jump in the tent, and we'll discover why they have that. These are half-gallon pots. So we'll be right back.
Echoes of Time, Costumes and Vintage Clothing is located at 600 North Witch Duck Road, Suite 102 in Virginia Beach.
Alright, my Gromies, we're back. So, I figured I'd slide Nova out here so we can get you a good view, but as you can see, we have now restarted everything. These are the seed plants from Elevate. What I have is clones of them so we can keep these to make again if they are that good, because oh man, I really hope they are. I've seen some of their other pictures and they look good, but I want the stock photo I look at every day in my office wall. That's that Punch Drunk 8. This is the one voted for. Sorry, Punch Drunk 8 is way back here. Way back here. So, it's definitely showing that it's going to be an indica dominant hybrid plant. As far as its growth tendencies and things like that. The other version of Candy Truffles is definitely a more sativa dominant hybrid running. Again, the other Elevate Genetics, this is definitely an indica dominant looking strain. It has a bit more vertical growth, but it's still definitely an indica dominant strain. And so all we did was we cut the center cola out of it, the main top. Oop, clone that branch. Once it cloned out, we then now had the under branches turn into mains. So now each one of these one plants has 2 mains, at least. This particular one has 4, 5. I've got 5 on this one. I think that's because I might have broke a branch. That was my bad. These other ones over here in the same boat. We've got about 3 or 4 on that one. Or, sorry, 4 or 6 on this one as well. This one here has a few more because just the way it likes to grow itself out, its sprouted side nodes much faster. But this is the one I'm really hoping for wonderful results from. I'm hoping that this seed plant turns into a little lady, right? Because this thing was, oh man, tell me those are pistols. Oh man, it might be a lady. Luck be a lady tonight. So, they haven't been put into flower yet, so I'm just surprised that I'm seeing this. Remember how I said I try to let them go root bound a little bit in the solo cups when I start a seed. This way they'll show their sex on their own, potentially under 24-hour light. Typically, you have to switch the light cycle of a photoperiod seed to see its sex, especially from seed. But certain plants will actually show their sex just from getting a little root bound. And like I said, males tend to do that a little bit better than females. But in this case, what I'm looking at is that there is definitely a couple of white pistils, so I'm just going to keep crossing my fingers. I'm not counting it out that it still may have balls on it or be a dude, but you know. Anyway, I don't know if anybody remembers this one. The bricked up golf ball finished flower, the fragrance Nova, yeah, Nova. That kind of sounds like, is that? We're in Sova down here in Hampton Roads. Is that Nova? Yeah. So, you know, again, Northern Virginia strain. I believe this was at one point a part of the Fairfax 4-way. And they just called this one Nova. It was a strain that was proprietary to them up in Northern Virginia. So, again, we recently had some of these. Well, I say recently. It's been a while, but had one last one, and so glad I did. So we're hoping that it is a female of the same particular style. But anyway, so I try to root bound them before I stage them into here. But these are half-gallon pots. This is what I do full-grown plants in. And again, this is, for something like this is 3 months worth of veg in here that you can do without a problem, and then flower it. You're going to be feeding the hell out of it because the root mass is going to suck up all that water. So for right now, they get a heavier dosing of nutrient less often because they take about 24 to 48 hours to dry their pot. By the time they start sucking this down twice a day, we reduce the amount of food that we give them per feeding. Like not water. The water stays the same, but the EC or the parts per million get cut down. Plants that can hold on to the water longer, that it's staying in the medium, they have a chance to use the higher dosage to, transition that nutrient to plant growth. So these bigger pots, they'll actually drop slightly during their growth phase. So I'm hoping that by the time we go to trigger these into the flower cycle, we will get at least 2 waterings per day. Again, if we stay at 1 per day, if we get it to that cycle, I'll be happy enough. But bare minimum, I like to see these at 2 a day, and this is what cocoa does. This is what we're going to be discussing more in detail at the festival at that point. But this system is easy. Basically, with the products like we were talking about with coconut, right? So coconut starts off super neutral. Pour it through. The measurement on the other side is what you put into it. Right now, these bags have been fed, right? So they have leached some stuff into just overall the root mass. It's going to collect some stuff, and I know I say the root mass is, well, the root mass is going to collect it. In this case, the cocoa doesn't really hold too much. It's coconut perlite. But the roots themselves will, over time, stop being able to take certain things in because they would just hit with them. So, that's when you see that, check your outlet, make sure it's damn close to what you're putting into it. And the nice thing is with cocoa is that it's really easy to clean them back up, right? So, you let a plant get away from you, you finally get over there, you tell you, what's wrong? You test your outlet and you're like, holy crap, I'm getting 5,000 ppm or just ridiculous numbers. Or my pH is way this way or way that way. Typically coconut drifts up, so I like to start watering at about 5-6. And then by the end of the watering cycle, my parts per million typically runoff is slightly more elevated than what I'm putting in, but my pH stays within range the whole grow cycle. So again, you can achieve incredible results from coconut every single time. You give it everything it needs. During the vegetative cycle, every company has a formula. I try to teach people with general hydroponics stuff because that stuff can go into soil, coconut, or hydroponic straight up water only systems. It is a great beginner style nutrient. It's inexpensive. Your learning curve will be a lot more affordable, let's say. So when you're starting with stuff like this, I mean, that's basically, I don't know, it's a run-of-the-mill, great, it's going to do its job, for sure. And then there are tons and tons of additives, and, you can definitely bring that formula into much better standings by using some boosters and additives. But with coconut, they're even very specific nutrient manufacturers that are like, our product was designed for that. Don't put it there, or don't put it in soil, right? They're like, it was literally formulated to grow in that medium. And there are companies that it is for current culture, right? The iGrow buckets, I don't know if any of you guys have saw them. They're kick-ass style. They're like pressurized Dutch buckets, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys know that term, but it's anyway, it's a lot to get into for that. But anyway, this system, they have their own nutrient package that they line up with it, and it's pretty cool. But it's also like it's in depth. It's in depth, and you should just be prepared when stepping into that world right away. That you want a learning curve, and that's an expensive system to start out with, or something like that. Can you get up to it? Yes, absolutely. But it is also a great system. So if you want to come out swinging for the fences, I mean, we're start but the best. So, but hydroponics takes a lot of work, things like that. You can goof up your water tank gets too warm. Your water can't hold the oxygen your plants need. the air stones inside the bottom of your tanks gunk up, or the roots get on them, and now they're not breathing, and now you're suffocating your plants. The ebb and flow system. If you don't dry them out properly, those roots won't ever start to develop through it. So even if you grow them right in a rock wool right out of the gate, the roots they're not drying out enough. They have algae, things like that. There's a plethora of problems that go along with that, and so I've just, historically speaking, cocoa has been the way to go. Soil, we get lockups, nutrient binds, things, not every soil is built the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, even at the factory, they use X, Y, and Z for the formula, and on the way out, it's got to be within this parameter. But you get a bag today, and if you had it, the specific data on it, like laboratory results of what is actually in there, and then took another bag from like months later and did it again, you're going to notice that those numbers they're damn close, but they're off. Like, that it's commercial equipment pouring and mixing stuff together. It's, it gets a little bit more weight here, a little less weight there. The close in that is okay, but you also get, nutrient lockup. So what you did last go around with these plants, you do the same thing this round. You're like, what the fuck? Everything's fucked up. You don't have that problem with cocoa. So you just get to give it everything every time. Be prepared to cost a little bit more if you're going to do the fertigation style. I'm hoping we get the Cananani prototype, Tommy Shine. We're still getting some other products together, but we're going to work on a fertigation system for the average home grower that is affordable and reasonable. Because I'll tell you, the moment you start doing a 4x8 table, it's a lot of work. You don't want to be in there. Trust me, you don't want to be in there. Especially for a system like this, where it's just a lot of work. We'll say that. So typically these plants, we run them from clone. Then you only run them for 5 to 7 days in a very small container before you start your flowering cycle. And then they still finish as tall as all. I see plants that are still chest high and waist high. I still get those on a 5 to 7 day vegetative cycle. Like that little clone right there. If I were to take it, put it in one of these pots, turn this thing up to 100%, right? And then put it in a small container so its roots dry and it stretches real quick. A little 4-inch square diameter pot, little black square, right? Get that thing this tall by the time it's done flowering. It'll stretch once I hit it with the stretch, like the 2-week flip, the first 2 to 3 weeks. That thing will get easily from the ground where I'm sitting. I'll be eye level with the top of the plant, for sure. Because these are seeds, and I needed to make sure we had safe clones of them before we sent them into flower. That's why these got grown a little bit longer. That's why I was trying to hold them in the pots to see if they'd give me their answer before I started flowering them. But, you always run a risk with seeds, whether they are feminized, which feminized is awesome. Vast majority are safe. Every now and again you find a bad one in there. So, every breeder has one. It's not even like any one is better than the other one. It's just when you see consistency in those things is where you gotta maybe you're not doing a good job now. So, one in a blue moon, you see a herm, shit happens. But if you got a pack of seeds, all 10 of them, all of them, 5, 6 of them, they're supposed to be fem. 5, 6 of them go to herm. You should start thinking about the person who put those seeds in that pack. And it happens. They just didn't test those seeds, which is so freebie seeds, right? You get the free 2-pack or whatever with the bonus seeds. A lot of times those are untested versions of that plant. So I've ordered stuff from in-house genetics before, right? You get the proper gold pack, the proper silver pack, and then you get these baggy seeds with a postage label on it that just says, seed, this is the cross. Those are ones that they're not tested. They're we made a batch, we'll throw these out there too. So, they could be fem, and they may be labeled fem or male, female, either way. I always watch those really carefully because, you can get some absolutely gorgeous fire out of them. I had a plant one time that Spicy White Devil. It was a free seed from one of the companies that I ordered seeds from Europe. And it was my favorite fucking plant. It was the free seed. So, feel free to grow your freebie seeds. I try to. Let's get that back down in there. Let's get that down in there. So, in this setup, because we use more space, things like that, we use the more medium, which the mix. But by the end of this, yeah, where our ppm is slightly elevated. The sitting in the trays to catch the runoff, what I should have is the pot drainers under here, because again, with top feeding cocoa like this, the runoff, you don't want your plants sitting in or as little as much as possible. So I should put some plant risers under here this next round. That was kind of what spurred the last run, but those were in bigger pots in those, so it was a little different. So we'll get the risers on here to make sure we don't do it again. This way the roots have a good chance to dry out. We also have a lower fan blowing on the lower sections 24/7 to help circulate the air around there. You know, feeding every day when they're not ready can also cause some problems. So just make sure you're getting your dry backs with cocoa, and you'll do just fine. But just feed them every day, unless you you start noticing crazy stuff. Then check everything else, see what you did wrong, because it's not even what you did wrong necessarily, it's just the buildup. So you know that's what we monitor for. We're just here to monitor. Let them do their thing, right? All right. So let's check back in with my people over at Island Eyes, and yeah, shout out to them. We'll get to the table. We'll see who's gonna win some cool shit tonight. All right.
Island Eyes is a smoke and vapor shop located in Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. Convenient for all of your water hand pipes, CBD, tie-dye apparel, and more.
Conveniently located at 2728 North Mall Drive, Unit 111, Virginia Beach, and 1005 South Battlefield Boulevard, Unit A, Chesapeake.
All right, guys. Give me a second. Let me get back to Rip City. Love these silicone ashtrays. You know, I should get a batch of these. We need a lot of them. They're the coolest thing. They got a spike in the middle. You tap your bowl out and shit. Not this one is like an old school version. The diamond's a little bit big, but make them narrow and pointy. Go right inside the bowl. Love the silicone bowl or ashtray. So yeah, so those are just plastic grow bags, right? You go online. I believe I see Tommy Shine up here. He said he uses the Vivo Sun ones. That's probably what they are. If you need them today's style, I Love Hydroponics. Any of your local grow stores, they carry a lot of this stuff. So pretty basic. They're cheap as anything. One-time use. But here's the deal. Cocoa is not one-time use, guys. Cocoa needs to be rebuffered. Cocoa needs to be cut again with perlite. But cocoa gets reused. As long as you didn't have any bacteria or funkiness or anything like that. If you were combating something with it, go ahead and toss it. But that cocoa, I have a big drum. When we are done with the plants, cut out the main plant branch, take the bag, cut the bag open. The bag is gone. But what I do is I pull the root mass out of it, right? And I'll crumble the root mass, and all the cocoa and the perlite fall back out. Now, I can reuse this infinitesimally. Basically, I as long as I just keep adding the basic ingredients to it to keep the volume where it's at, because you do lose volume with the root mass you pull out. You know, you pull out chunks and everything else. So we pull out all the excessive chunks, right? So that medium, big drum, cut the bags, pull all the excessive roots out. As we are replanting, we scoop out any of the excessive roots. We remix in perlite, bricks of cocoa at this point. So you rehydrate little bricks of cocoa, little brick of cocoa this big. Fill a shit ton of those things. Like seriously, it's this big. Picture a red brick like from anything. Red brick. That brick of cocoa just rehydrates. You can. It's amazing stuff. So we keep it, and then but we rebuffer it, right? So the Coco Loco comes initially buffered. Comes with some mycorrhiza. I don't need to add mycorrhiza. At this point, it's not necessarily part of the formula I use. There's a lot of microbes and everything else, but the formula that we use when we go to reuse it. So there is a buffering. Well, what is buffering? Well, once you've pulled out all the root mass and everything else, basically make properly pH'd water, food water. Pour that stuff in there, soak the medium, right? I soak it, fill it up with water, saturate the stuff. Like I said, it's consider it just I don't know, fill the drum the drum I have. I fill it up. We make the barrel of the stuff and then fill the drum back up with water, the nutrient water. Soak it for 24 hours. Because we've used it before. If you're buffering fresh stuff, you don't have to do this as long. But for us, because we buffering used stuff, now we have it floating in this pH balanced water for 24 hours. Paddle it, stir it every little bit, and then we strain it back out. At this point, because there was root mass in it though, the formula that we use to, rehydrate this stuff and process it for the second round, we actually double the enzymes that we use. So the enzymes will break down any of the existing root masses and stuff like that. So this way, by the time we're in 5 days of veg, any leftover particulates of little strandy roots, stuff like that, has now turned into something that the plant can consume on its own. So we don't end up with, nasty roots rotting away. Soil, you have to till, you pull out a lot of the stuff. You can reuse it, but it's going to draw a lot of things. You're going to have to amend and amend and amend. Cocoa, literally, buffering and just make the water again. Soak it in there for 24 hours, and you're ready to go. Fresh bricks, an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? So you get a brick, you get your perlite, rehydrate your brick of cocoa, start adding perlite so you see how airy you want your mix, and then you're good to go. They also have different grades of cocoa, from fine cocoa to coarse cocoa. Be aware when you select your cocoa. I go for a 50-50 mix, but I use a medium cocoa. 50-50 and medium. If you want to go coarse cocoa, your plants will dry out real fast. So that whole bag will dry in 30, 45. It'll dry insanely fast if you use coarse cocoa. But it honestly looks more like mulch. But it's not. It's the husk of the coconut. The very fine stuff, it compacts too tightly. Not a fan of it. So I land right in the middle, and we move and we go like that. Yeah. So, Tommy says he goes with boiling water for it. So boiling water will help speed the process up on the breakdown. It'll also kill any stuff that's in there. So it's a great way to go for it. We use nutrient. We mix everything into it, including an IPM, which is whether it's Athena or it's Lost Coast. We use a couple different products, regularly part of it. And now the organic version, we are going to start using that in the routine. We're going to switch off Lost Coast on the inside. We're going to go with the Plant Bodyguard stuff. It's nice enough to go now. So, yeah, things are going well over there. Let's get one more bomb hit. Maybe let's get a wheel up. Let's decide who's going to grab some plants. So we will do the strawberry lemonade and the color of space again because honestly, like I said, either way you grow these, if you're putting them outside, this one's going to be finished early for you, or the color of space will be finished pretty much average time, mid to late October. So just like pre-Halloween. But the longer you leave it, the crazier that color is going to get on that one. So, feel free to let it go a little bit long. But the lemonade here, that'll be finished weeks and weeks before that one in an outdoor environment. So, Both really, really nice flower. Get my bong hit on. JMO, the gummy mint combo. Call that the two-way. All right. There it is. All right. So, we got a wheel. This prize is for the flower option. So you will get an eighth of the gummy mints or JMO, your choice. Again, both are just, for me, they remind me of my younger days. All right. So, first one is choice of that. Then we'll send out 2 matching plants to you. You can choose, or you can get 1 and 1. Lemonade and Color of Space are the options for tonight's winners. All right. So, let's spin that wheel. Let's see who's taking something home with us tonight. While we got that rolling, that means I got time for another bong hit. Stephanie. Steph, hell yeah. Steph wins a prize. Stephanie Heinrichs, congratulations. All right, you get some babies for the summer and you get a sack. There you go. Look at that. Awesome. Let's see who's winning next. Ooh. Ashley Beck taking home some plants. Hell yeah, girl. Congratulations. Ooh. Ooh, at last. But never least. Who's taking the final prize here? Let's see what we got. Oh, we got no audio. No audio. I don't know sign language, but I know Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. I hear you, homie. Yeah? All right. I can hear TJ cough with no audio choke. Maybe we got audio. Last winner, Kay Williams. There we go. Let's not sleep on that either. Hold on. Kay Williams. Sorry. Is it quiet now? Hi. Check. Maybe. I don't know. But it's okay. Because it was the end of the show. We gave away a bunch of prizes. And, yeah. Let's roll the rest of my song. Shout out to the Minion, guys.
We spin the wheel after 10 times, so maybe if you're lucky, you can have your eyes like mine. If you tie the string around my head, then grow me, I'll be blind. Hey, time is slow, we counting marijuana minutes. Should've wrote this shit down, I said I swear I won't forget it. Now I'm trying to remember, but this chemo got me finished. But I guess that's just what happens when your green needs its spinach. Yep. It's a party, we gon' party on the iGrow show. It's a party, we gon' party like some animals. It's a party, light a J and then go pack a bow. It's a party, we gon' party on the iGrow show.
We made